All right, let's talk about Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, I've made a video on him already this season, but you know what? He deserves plenty of videos given how he's playing this year. To me, he's kind of clearly the defensive rookie of the year at this point, barring an injury. Let's talk about what he's doing so well. I mean, first, to look at his Pro Football Focus grades, he's at over 90 this season. That's the second best in football among interior defensive linemen. I mean, that's crazy. Not among rookies, just in general. And typically, interior defensive linemen take a minute to develop. Typically, that's how that works. Well, not for Jalen Carter. He has, hit the ground running, which has been, amazing to see, really. And it's really been his pass rush that's been elite. His run defense is still, 17th best among eligible, defensive linemen, but his pass rush is, just fantastic. Let's talk about how he's able to be so effective. So getting into the film, let's start off with something like this. This is where he is on the field, but this is not going to be a traditional setup. The Eagles, while they do have a ton of talent, they also like to try and help their guys out, make things easier and maybe confuse offensive linemen. It's a 3rd down and 9 situation, so kind of obvious passing situation, and in obvious passing situations, you can get a little creative. That's what they're going to do. It's called a stunt or a twist, whatever you want to call it. If you've watched my defensive lineman videos, you've probably seen me talk about these before, where the way it works, kind of in simplistic terms, is it's almost like Carter and Hassan Reddick, who's the edge rusher on that play, are going to switch places post-snap. Sometimes you can fool offensive linemen with this, and Hassan Reddick could potentially get a straight shot to the quarterback. That's what you hope happens here if you're Philadelphia. However, right when this play begins, you see that, Buffalo does a good job of passing this off. Good, awareness by Buffalo. Perhaps they figured, hey, we know it's an obvious passing situation too. This could be happening. So Carter has a one-on-one matchup against a tackle. So, tackles are used to pass rush situations. This is what they're good at. But Carter has his left arm on the tackle's right side of his body, that right shoulder pad area. That's where he currently has contact, and that's going to be key. And the one thing that just jumps out at you every time you watch Jalen Carter footage is his hands. Again, that's kind of oftentimes why certain interior defensive linemen take time to develop is, they're a lot bigger than everybody they play against in college. And then all of a sudden you get to the NFL level and it's not quite, as you're not quite as dominant there because you're not as strong as, or at least maybe you're only as strong as certain players you're going up against, or maybe only slightly stronger than players you're going up against. And there's an adjustment there. And so typically you need to sort of develop the hands and develop the technique a little bit better. But you see Carter has that hand there, and watch what he's going to do with it. Watch him pull forward, gets his right hand over, and is able to get past the tackle. That's kind of a great edge rusher move right there that he did as a defensive tackle. And, the main reason that didn't work out and, generate a quarterback hit was probably just because they had, he didn't line up as an edge rusher. If he did, maybe he does get a pressure there on Allen and gets a quarterback hit. Who knows? But either way, it's a great move by Carter. Heading over to a play like this, again, it's one of those things where you see this front for the Eagles. It's going to end up being the guard for the Bills. That's who's going to be blocking Carter, which makes sense. But, with so many players, showing us that it could be rushing the passer, it's just not fair that the Eagles can have so many guys and with one-on-one matchups here. It's terrifying if you're Josh Allen. Right when this play begins, you see that right here, the, Carter here, his left arm is kind of on that right shoulder pad area of the guard he's going up against. He's going to try to drive the guard a little bit towards the top of the screen and then move a little bit towards the bottom of the screen. That's how he's doing this here. And again, watch him get through so quickly. Doesn't quite get the pressure, and maybe you would have liked to see him find a way to make that happen. Allen did a good job of kind of moving up at the last second to avoid the pressure. Still, maybe you say, hey, you got to finish that play. But at the end of the day, it's still a great job of getting past your initial offensive lineman, and that's really what jumps out at you. Because again, sometimes guys come out and they have, like 4 sacks in their first game or whatever, and everyone assumes that they're amazing because you had a handful of sacks. Jalen Carter has 4 sacks on the season, which is good for an interior defensive lineman. That's, very good. But to me, I pay less attention to the sacks because those can often be fluky and dependent on the team around you and, the quarterback you're going up against, all that good stuff. But pressures, just are you winning consistently? That's what I care about more, and there's just no denying he wins so consistently. something like this, going up one-on-one against the right guard here. And, I start talking about his hands a lot, but one thing worth noting too is just his pure power. Watch as when this play begins, you see right here, okay, doesn't seem to be a great situation for Carter. Guard has his hands in solid positioning here. So what can you do if you're Carter? Well, like I said, he is still really big and strong. And even though I kind of brought up earlier how sometimes guys just rely on their strength and don't ever, get the other stuff down, there are still times when using your strength to your benefit is a good idea. That's what Carter is going to try and do here. And as you see, that's what he does. He, doesn't quite get the pressure yet again. But again, it's, it was starting to get there. If Josh Allen had to hold the ball for a little bit longer, he would have made something like that work. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say this was his best play or anything like that, but it just kind of goes to show, I think, that, while his hands are amazing and he often is in good positions, even when he's not in a good position, he can still find a way to make something happen, which is still good to see if you're an Eagles fan. Also heading over here, this is a crazy play. So it's going to be the guard who's blocking him. The way it works is Buffalo is trying to have their center pull over and block someone at the next level. It's hard, right? I mean, it's so hard to get guys over to block linebackers at the next level just because Philly has so many good interior defensive linemen who can do stuff like this. I made a Jordan Davis video, and I brought up kind of actually a pretty similar play with Jordan Davis, but we're talking about Carter here. Watch what's going to happen. Okay, guard blocking Carter one-on-one. How well is he going to do this? Watch Carter just step right aside and is able to quickly go over and make a quick tackle there. I mean, it's just great stuff from Jalen Carter. It is. Him being able to do that is fantastic. And, again, it's amazing. Like, he shouldn't be able to do this kind of thing. He really shouldn't. This is not how easy the NFL should be. It should be a lot more difficult. He should have came here and said, oh, wow, this is hard. I got to kind of, start, figuring out more little things. And again, maybe there still are little things that he could get better at. I really don't see it. I think that he's as good as he's going to get. I think he's already an elite player. I think this is what it is. I was curious, so I looked at the odds right now. It's minus 250 for Jalen Carter, so which means that you bet $250 to win $100, which for me I feel like is not a terrible bet. I mean, there's always the could he get injured aspect of it, and so that's kind of the concern. But as of right now, I think there's no denying that what he's done has been remarkable, and it is kind of a point into the, hey, off the field concerns. Yes, they can be concerning, right? There was the whole, we've all know, there are the stories of guys who have off the field concerns, get drafted anyway, and then end up being disaster. It happens, and I understand it. But this is the upside. And if you take that chance, then this can potentially happen. And for Jalen Carter, it's totally working out for him and for the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they legitimately got an elite edge rusher and didn't even have to spend, a super high pick, still a high pick, but not a super high pick on him. It's incredible stuff, and he's been fantastic for them. So yeah, great stuff for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.